Hello, everyone. Welcome to My Addiction. This is Lillian. You're used to hearing me at the end of the episode. I'm popping in a bit early this week to give a small disclaimer before we get started. As sometimes happens when we're recording audio, we had a technical glitch when recording this week's episode of My Addiction. That meant that we lost the high quality audio that we normally get from our microphones and had to restore the audio we got from our camera. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because that means this week's conversation is going to sound a little different. There's a bit more background noise than we normally have or would like. And similarly, there might be some moments of distortion. We really hope you bear with us, though, because the conversation is fantastic. Our guest is out of this world. We have the incomparable Kay Hanley, and we didn't want you guys to miss out. So stick with us, and here we go. Here is Marty and Megan with Kay Hanley.
Hi. Welcome to My Addiction. I'm Megan Weaver.
I'm Marty Noxon.
And we're here to talk about TV shows.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We kind of are.
We sort of delve into addictions and then quickly make our way into what we're watching.
Culture. Yeah. No, okay, seriously though. We talk about sobriety, we talk about different kinds of abstinence, we talk about, everything from the really, life-threatening to the kind of less so, but still impacts your life to a degree.
Too ridiculous.
Too kind of ridiculous, which is more like goof. We goof because we're a goofy pair.
Well, this is true. This is true.
Goofy goofsters.
Yeah. But we do. We touch on, all the things and our own addictions and things that we battle, and then
and then we talk about TV
or plants
mostly I talk about TV. Anyway, you know who we have today?
I think I know who we have today.
You can say it.
I think we have the lead singer from Letters to Cleo.
We sure do. Her name's Kay Hanley. We should say that. Anyway, she's amazing.
Well, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, you're gonna. Why don't we get into it? Because I knowing Kay Hanley, she's gonna have a few things to say.
I'm excited.
All right.
Okay.
So, today we're very excited because we have the one and only Kay Hanley, who is maybe best known as the lead singer of Letters to Cleo, and also solo career, Love Your Solo album.
Thank you.
Is a composer for a number of animated projects, and has also worked on the Star Trek musical from last year.
I mean, who can say? Yeah. After the pandemic, it's like, what is
time?
What is time?
Yeah.
That's quite the resume.
Thank you.
Amazing. I love Letters to Cleo.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got really excited because I didn't know that about you.
You didn't?
No, I didn't know that until pretty recently.
Literal rock star right here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
We all know each other from a sober club.
We share a hobby.
We've been very open about
Yes. About recovery.
Yes, and working the steps and all that stuff.
All that jazz.
We've already had my therapist on, but now Kay's also my sponsor. So next we're gonna have my barista and my landscaper.
Your psychic.
My psychic. Oh yeah, we should have my psychic.
Wait, do you have a psychic?
Well,
I was
she's
joking.
She's in England. She told
me
that I'm going to meet someone named Sam.
Sam?
Who's going to be, he's going to be, that's going to be my person.
That's your person?
Yeah.
There's a problem with that because now you're going to be
look for Sam.
Every Sam.
It's really
but it was
weird
way
because
more
I know a
specific
Sam
than
that
this.
you would be into.
Is he 62?
No, he's probably a little younger than us, but he's not 62.
All right.
But he's age appropriate.
Okay.
Oh, but also he's a writer, so that stinks.
No, that's okay.
I don't know.
Why? Because
you're such a successful writer, and
That's true.
That
can
because
be,
if someone is
struggling,
competitive,
that can be rough.
If someone is like on there, like not as successful and they're like pitching stuff that like they're still in the grind.
Yeah, no, that's rough.
That's hard.
That's rough
when you're trying to establish.
Sorry, Sam.
Never
Sorry,
mind.
Casey.
It was over before you
Yeah.
began.
I know.
We've had your therapist, and now we have your sponsor.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, you know, probably
Whoever else
whoever else
wants to come on
Yeah.
and
That's
spill
the
all your
best thing
secrets.
That's the best thing about having a podcast.
It's true.
Is like you can just whoever
Yeah.
you know you're going to have an interesting conversation with. You
That
can
is
just
true.
invite them on.
That is
Exactly.
true.
It's like just hanging out.
Well, it's, you know, even if you weren't my sponsor, you're one of the only rock stars I know.
I'll take it.
So yeah, when I was introduced to you through my, you know, our friend Jen, she said, you know, she's such a rock star, and I was like, oh, great. And she's like, no, she's such a rock star. Like, she's
Legit.
literally a rock star. So yeah, we talk a lot about sobriety, but we talk about a lot of like addictive behaviors.
Right.
But let's start with, you know, what it was like. I mean, one of the things we all have in common is that we have kids.
Yes.
We've got babies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not
Big
such
babies.
big
Big
babies.
babies.
And we got sober after we had
Yes.
our children.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and that is kind of puts us in a pretty, it's a club that no one wants to belong to.
Right, exactly.
And, which is drunk moms.
yeah,
Yeah.
And,
Guilty.
you
Yeah.
know, that's, I mean,
Yeah.
it is kind of funny to like now because, you know,
yeah.
but when you're in it,
Ugh.
when you're actually a drunk mom, it's pretty awful.
It's the worst.
It is the worst.
Yeah.
And luckily where we are, you know, we get to meet lots of other and help lots of other drunk moms get sober.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're from Boston.
From Boston.
Yeah.
Aw,
And
Boston.
So did your drinking start pretty early?
Yeah, no, I mean Irish Catholic from Dorchester, Massachusetts. So
There you go.
So
Big
it was
ups,
pretty
Dorchester.
much, yeah, big ups to dot rats. So, you know, it's pretty much assumed that most of us are going to end up getting sober at some point because
It's a numbers game.
Or not.
or not,
Yeah.
or not. And, yeah, but I mean, so my first attempt at sobriety was actually not attempt because I was a teenager and my dad had gotten sober. My mom became like an Al-Anon ninja for like a minute. And I was clearly having some troubles as a teenager but mostly, you know what? My dad had great insurance through the city of Boston. And so I went to my first rehab at like 17, Spofford Hall in New Hampshire.
Spofford. It's probably not a
Spofford.
spa.
No, it's Spofford.
Okay, so no like
No, it's-
horse therapy.
No. Spofford Hall in Keene, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was sober for my senior prom. I went to senior prom there were like tons of other like people my age from Southie and Dorchester that were all getting sober at that time. So we
Wow.
like
No Bartles and James wine coolers for you.
we did not. I missed that.
Yeah.
I
missed
miss
that
Zevia. Yeah, I was sober the whole time for Zevia. Not that
Zevia.
I thought it would actually be good, but I did feel left out. Like
What's Zevia?
no, not Zevia.
Are you talking
Zevia's
about
my
you're
Zevia's my
talking
favorite
about
soda.
Zima.
Zima.
I did
Zevia
not.
is the one that I hope will be a sponsor of ours because I drink so much.
There
of
is.
it.
Oh, Zevia.
Yeah,
yes,
but
right.
But
No, this is
Zima. It was Zima.
Zima,
Well,
I was
I-
drinking and those were gross.
Well, here's the funny part of my story is that when I was right before I turned 22, I had been sober for 4 years with all of my people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I overreacted. And so, and my mom
That was exactly
overreacted.
that was exactly
And so
my
I
thing.
went out at 22
Yeah.
and started drinking again.
Yeah.
And so I did get to try Zima. And you know, the thing about Zima is that you only have one.
Yeah.
And then
So
you
sweet.
go, it was
Yeah.
really sweet. It was like Sprite
Right.
with alcohol, which I never was a.
Although we did Bartles and James. Remember when Nick and Nikki Noxon put Bartles and James in a outdoor fridge at Agnes?
Yes.
Do you remember that? And
Yes.
I was like, I think I was sober by that time, and I was appalled.
Yeah, just
The
free
bottles
Because you
and
guys
James?
could just have
We could have it whenever we wanted.
Yeah.
Was it? Did it have like a spigot on
No.
it?
No, it was just a fridge
I
with
don't
bottles.
think they
with
sold
bottles,
Bartles and James by the keg.
Yeah.
But there was like wine in a box.
Oh, I know, because I got fired. We talked about this. I got fired from a restaurant because I was drinking the wine from a box. I thought they couldn't tell because it was in a box.
How
you
could
gonna-
they tell?
I don't know.
They figured it
Maybe
out.
maybe they could tell I was drunk.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
it.
And
As Dr. L, who, well, as I said, was also on the show, said, because when I got sober, I was like, yeah, I don't think a lot of people could tell. And she was like,
girl.
Yeah,
She was
who
like-
you fooling.
girl, maybe more people could tell than you thought could tell. And I was like, and of course, yeah. You know,
They always do.
my kids claim that they couldn't.
Oh,
But I
Mine
think
could.
that may be because
you were always drunk?
Yeah, they didn't know the
exactly
difference.
Right.
I was just wasted all the time.
Yeah. So they just thought that you were like Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Well, and we've already talked about this, but like they did wonder why I let them see Jackass when Lane was only 5.
Oh, but you would have done that anyway.
Lily says-
what?
It's a new story. I
Yeah,
didn't
she
tell-
hasn't. She hasn't
Okay.
told.
Yeah.
She hasn't
I
told that
even
one.
let them watch the part where, like, I think we went on to Jackass 2, where they have them fish hooking their penises.
Oh,
That's
nice.
fun.
Yeah, and that's when
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're turning it off. Even drunk, I was like,
There's
so
one.
the reason why they feel like they didn't know was because their dad had them half the time, and that's when I really let the wild
went,
horses
yeah,
run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't we all? It
Mhm.
Right?
Oh yeah,
Shared
That-
custody.
was kind of great for the alcoholics.
Yeah.
But you were not in it. You got married.
Yeah, I got married to the guitar player of my band, as you do.
As you do.
We have been together since, we have been together for our entire 20s. We got married when we were 28. And then we had our first child at 29. And actually, I kind of chilled. Once I found out that I was the day before I found out that I was pregnant with her, I was like blowing rails in the bathroom of Boston Billiards.
Fun.
And then I found out that I was pregnant and I quit cocaine and
Wow.
drinking and because I was like, I don't know if I was an alcoholic,
Yeah.
but I was able to, for whatever reason, moderate and actually I felt amazing when I was pregnant because I had a hangover every day for 10 years before I got pregnant with Zoe May. So like she saved my life.
Yeah.
And when I had her and then 3 years later I had Henry and that time, for whatever reason, I was able to, I still drank every day.
Yeah. But you weren't drinking.
But I had
you weren't
like
blacking out
2
all the
glasses
time.
of wine.
Right.
Instead of like a bottle for breakfast.
Right.
And I didn't, and I wasn't like going out and and Michael ended up because, I didn't want to leave the kids. He would end up going out on the road to tour to earn money for the family.
Right.
And then I stayed home
with
with
other,
the kids.
was he like, did he, work with different bands?
Yeah. He was with Our Lady Peace, and then he was with Nina Gordon from Veruca Salt for a long time.
Amazing.
And he actually did a stint with who's out to my window. Who's that?
Come to my window.
It was the OG.
Oh, Taylor.
No.
No, wait.
Oh my
he's-
God.
We're the
my
worst.
brain together.
Okay, wait, Lily,
Taylor
go.
Sheridan.
Lily.
Melissa Etheridge.
Thank you.
Yes.
That what
Taylor
is
Sheridan,
wrong
the
with
creator
our
of
brains?
Yellowstone. Was he on tour with Taylor Sheridan? The creator of Yellowstone?
Taylor Sheridan. We
Taylor
talk-
Sheridan
and
is an
they can
actor.
actually
No,
he's the
creator,
writer of
and he's actor.
and the showrunner of Yellowstone
all those shows.
and all the
All.
worst female characters
Yeah,
that have
he-
ever been portrayed on
yeah.
television.
All right, so Michael was on the road. You were home
So
with
right,
the kids.
and then I was home. I remember being home with Zoe Mabel, who was 3.5, and Henry, who was an infant, and Michael had to go back out on the road. And I was like home with a toddler and an infant, and I was like, I did not fucking sign up for this at all.
Right.
And so he came home from tour when Henry was like 5 months old, and he was like, we're moving to LA. And I was like, okay. Which I said I would never ever. I mean, I'm like such a townie. I'm such a local.
I've
I
seen
was
your
like,
license
I
plate.
will right. I will never
Yeah.
ever leave Boston.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You make it happen, I'll go.
Yeah.
And so we went, and wonderful things happened. The progression didn't kick in until a few years later. But long story short, once it did kick in, it was really, I mean, I would never leave my bag with my pills in the car to go mail a letter.
Yeah.
Like, I would never.
Because you'd be like, what if somebody grabs
oh my
it?
God, if someone grabbed I thought obsessively about someone taking my pills.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you guys are watching White Lotus right now.
I
Yes.
haven't
But-
seen the last episode, but yeah,
But
what is it? The whole thing?
Parker Posey.
Parker
Just like,
Posey. Oh my God.
lorazepam.
Pepper, no.
Yeah.
so she's got her lorazepam, and like
where is it?
she left her bag on a boat, like unattended, with her lorazepam in it, after she had already noticed that some were
No,
missing.
you're right. No,
And then she walked up to the Lido deck or whatever without her bag of pills, and then the nightmare scenario happened.
Yeah.
Which is
her
her husband stole
stole them.
which is like, duh, it's always
And
the
it's
husband
also
or
like
the
Parker
wife.
Posey. Have you not noticed that your husband is
Gonzo.
No,
high on lorazepam? Like
The
your
whole-
lorazepam is missing.
no one in the family has noticed that there's
No.
anything wrong with him.
Okay,
Because
Anyways,
you're an
we
episode
turned into-
behind.
We turn into a review of White Lotus, although I will say,
but this is one of our things.
It's one of
we
our
get
things.
obsessed with.
and I think it is
shows.
an addiction. I think that like people, that is appointment TV for me.
Okay, so this is
Okay,
actually
yeah.
this
What's
is
the
a
difference
good
between a
this is a
habit and
good
obsession?
topic, because I not only did I wait for, like, I don't get alerts on my phone for anything.
Yeah.
For news,
No.
no alerts for anything, except for I was getting alerts for Succession, for not Succession. I mean, I would have if I could have,
Yeah.
but
100%.
for Severance. And
I have not.
so,
I have not watched this season. Don't
Oh
look at
my
me like
God.
that. Oh my god!
oh my God.
I haven't watched
I
any of
told you I
Severance.
had a beer last night, and you wouldn't look at me like that.
That's Succession. No. I honestly, I'm jealous of that, because
Yeah.
you have such a treat ahead of you.
I haven't watched any of it.
What? Okay, I don't understand you. Megan. I
Not,
don't know what.
not a drop of Severance on this brain.
Okay, let me
So-
tell you something.
Mhm.
Let me tell
Thank
you something. So I watch Severance the minute it comes out on the East Coast.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
So yeah, and then when it's over, I listen to a podcast about it, and then I listen to no fewer than 4 Severance podcasts.
Okay.
And not just like the reaction to the show,
Yeah.
but then there's
Recaps.
the deep dive
Oh, the
afterwards.
deep
Like
dive.
most
Break it
of
down.
the
Yeah.
where they like just go deep and with fan theories and all of that, and so I spend the entire week listening to podcasts every day
Yeah.
until the next episode comes out, and I've begun to do that with White Lotus now that Severance is over.
Okay, that's obsessive.
It's obsessed. It's kind of addictive.
It is. That's
Yeah.
that's your
Because
thing.
that's my
we
thing.
talk a lot about the difference between something that's a habit and like an obsession. And this could be, there's a lot of, I mean, as we've talked about many times, the definition of addiction is something that hurts your life in a way and you can't stop.
Yeah, that interferes.
But this doesn't sound like
that interferes with your life.
Yeah.
Although, if Clay wanted to, because my habit is to put. I have these amazing ear pods that he got me that are like, I forget what they're called. We can actually talk about those. They're amazing if I could ever remember what they're called. But so I just pop one and it's very squishy and soft so I can sleep in it. And
that's when you listen to your podcast.
And that I listen to it and I fall asleep.
Oh yeah, I know. I do that too.
And instead of crime shows, which is what I used to do.
That's what I do now.
Crime
shows before bed.
But on TV?
Yeah.
I
do podcasts in my car.
Oh, okay.
I did the whole West
You
Cork.
toggle.
Yeah, I go back.
Oh, yeah, I do that too.
Because
I don't listen to the news anymore. So I listen to nothing but podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, let's hear more about, so I heard you mention
Clay.
Oh, Clay, yes.
Sorry.
Clay is my
Kyle's.
husband.
Yes, I got
confused.
confused.
By the way, so
what's happening
just to
with
back
you,
up a little teeny bit, Michael and I our marriage was ruined by my alcoholism.
Right.
And we ended up, he kicked me out. He asked me to leave the family home.
Yeah.
And he called my parents. And bought me a plane ticket and he said, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Huh." And then I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, fuck you for like a minute. And then not even a minute, for like 5 seconds. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And I left, I got on the plane and went to detox, went to rehab, went to sober living, relapsed and didn't get sober until like 8 months later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But our marriage did not survive that.
Yeah.
And as I often talk about in the rooms, my marriage did not survive, but our family did.
Right.
And so, he found a wonderful partner who was a stepmother. Tama is stepmother to our kids.
Yeah.
And then I started dating Clay and we got married. So now it's like the birthday dinners are like the 6 of us.
Yeah. Right. Modern family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
which
that.
is really lovely. So Clay is my
husband now.
My husband.
Your husband.
He's my husband.
And can I ask you, when was the singing of the national anthem in all of this story? Because
I sang many national anthems.
But wasn't there sort of
there was
legendary
a horrible
one?
Yeah. So in 2010, I sang. Okay, so I sang the national anthem at Patriots games for 10 years in a row. And every 9 years out of those, they won.
Oh,
so I was
you were the secret sauce.
9-0.
Yeah.
For Patriots wins when I sang the anthem. So in 2010, they went to the playoffs, and of course they called me.
Right, because they were like, "We got to get our good luck charm in here."
Right, as they should have. They were very. I mean, you would have thought that it would be wise to call me, but what happened was I did. I do this charity event every year with Peter Gammons, who's a baseball writer, and people from the Red Sox, and we raise money every year. And so I did that event, and then I went to the International Brotherhood of Iron Workers. I went to like the Union Hall to play, to sing with the Dropkick Murphys.
Oh, amazing.
In Dorchester. And after that, and I was just like drinking like a maniac until like 3 a.m.
So you
and
were
hammered.
Yeah.
And so the car was coming to get me to go to Foxborough.
Yeah.
At 7 a.m. or something.
Oh.
So I was like, and I had a lovely outfit. Someone had styled me for the day. So I had and it was cold, freezing cold. I had a beautiful jacket. Anyway, so the car comes and I am just like, oh, this is really bad. And Twitter was just a thing. So, and I love Twitter.
Yeah. Back when it was Twitter.
Yeah.
So
So I tweeted in the car on the way to Foxborough, this hangover is not very patriotic or something like that. And then like I said some other things, you know, talking about like going to sing the anthem for the Patriots and that, you know, that I felt probably still drunk from the night before. Anyway.
So you just thought like sharing that would be.
I mean, at the time,
cool.
It seemed
rock
like,
star.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I was very,
that is true.
and all of my bios on when social media became a thing, like Friendster, MySpace. Friendster was the first one. Was I love drinking alcohol and I hate cats. And now you know how in love with my cat I am.
I know.
And I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So, Fred, my cat's name is Fred. Thanks for asking.
Fred. And then there's Maisie.
Maisie,
who's not a cat, but looks like a cat.
She looks like a squirrel.
Yeah.
She's so cute. So I got to, got down to the fields and, took my mic and
in your fabulous jacket,
in my amazing outfit that was nice and warm. And I really thought I was going to throw up. I was like, I must have been green. I was like, and I'm just shaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. And I was also taking like, I don't know, some kind of ADHD, some kind of like amphetamine. So, and I decided to have that without any food. And so it's like 10 a.m. And
this all sounds reasonable to me.
Right?
Although I would have just started drinking. Just to calm it.
I wonder if I probably did.
Yeah. Right.
I probably had started drinking.
Yeah.
So 50-yard line, I'm out there and I start to sing and I just cannot. Now, first of all, when you sing the anthem,
it's not
live.
Easy.
You have to hit start. I mean, at least for me, like I don't have a huge range. Yeah. So if I don't start on "Oh Say," which is very low note for you see, now I'm not going to be able to hit the top note at the end. Yeah. And the rockets red glare. Right. If I start too high, I am not getting to that note. And I know if I've started too high and I'm just in fear.
Right.
Of like, so I started a little too high. So I knew it was going to be hard to hit the note, but my voice was just gone. Anyway, I just stunk up the place. And like,
oh no.
In front of, a packed Foxborough Stadium. And then the next day in the Boston Globe, somebody wrote that I had been tweeting about my hangover.
They outed
my tweets against me.
Did they win?
And no, they lost. They lost and I sucked. And they blamed me. It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
It wasn't sort of like.
It wasn't like, Roseanne Barr.
Right. And it wasn't like Fergie level.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Humiliation. It was just like, I did not sing well.
Yeah.
It was like,
and did Twitter react to this?
No, just the Boston Globe that my parents read.
God.
And they blamed me for the Patriots loss.
Oh,
because I've been tweeting about drinking all night before.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was embarrassing. But actually, I didn't, that did not prevent me from continuing on.
Yeah.
My merry way of drinking.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about all the things that don't prevent you, like the stuff where you think like, well,
that should have been an out.
That should have been a real sign right
exit
there.
Stage left. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're just not ready emotionally to deal.
And that's not painful. I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's the kind of embarrassing that like goes away.
Yeah.
And also it's like, it's kind of funny too.
Yeah.
But then there's stuff that starts to happen. And I think especially to women alcoholics.
Yeah.
That
that's what I was thinking
it's
about.
Different.
Yeah.
And then when you add in being a mom, there's some stuff that happens that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that happens that's never going to be funny.
No. Yeah.
That's never going to be funny. And I some of those things, some of the things that I was most ashamed of, that I won't get into here probably, are the things that have allowed me to help other women who are coming in behind me. 14 years later, I'm still horrified by some of the things that happened.
Yeah.
But the one the one thing that I do have is a true story to help someone else.
Yeah.
And that's really that's the only good news to come out of this is that like is that I can help.
Yeah.
I can be of service.
Yeah.
And like if I'm gonna fuck up an entire family and like I mean not that we have there has been an awful
everybody's
lot,
okay now.
You guys
a lot
are
of
pretty
healing.
unfucked. Yeah.
We're unfucked now.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody would pretty much agree
Yeah.
that like there has been a lot of healing in our family. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But you can only do that by getting some distance away from your drinks and your drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Takes
but
time.
then you have to like do work on yourself, which is like that takes time.
Yeah.
Like you can quit drinking
Right.
for 24 hours, but like you know what I've heard said? It's like if you want to know why you drank, stop drinking.
Yeah.
And
then you feel it.
because you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's so funny just as like a pretty newly sober person.
Right. Are you 2 years?
17 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is crystal clear to me why I drink.
Right.
I totally get it. And it's weird because I would say, oh, it's the stress and it's the worrying and it's all this stuff. But what I'm finding now, it's stuff that I could never even guessed at. You know, boredom.
Sure.
I feel like, you know, boredom is in there. Oh, I'm kind of, I'm going to go pour a drink kind of thing. Yes, all the other things and a lot more as well. But I would never have guessed that boredom, or loneliness or boredom or anything like, oh, what do I want to played into that, and I only know that now because I don't do it. And it's like, what am I feeling? And you really kind of get that luxury of getting to examine what am I really feeling right now?
How do I scratch the itch now that I don't?
Right. I might not be able to,
And then we come back to White Lotus.
Well, then I watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, there's a lot of itch.
I love
scratching.
Yeah, a lot of numbing.
That doesn't sound good, but like there's a lot of like there's parasocial relationships with characters on TV. Like for me anyway, because loneliness, especially we've both of you've all been through it. Like when your kids start to leave, there's suddenly this like empty space and quiet where where there wasn't, and you realize how much we're all so blessed that we have good relationships with our kids where we like to do things together even when they were older, and when that suddenly is not the thing that defines you anymore.
It's like, who am I? Like putting down the drink. That's like, if I'm not the party girl who's like cooking for everybody and have a million people over the house and just drinks all the time, and like bad influence on everybody, even like
you just described
the neighbors at school. Right. It's like,
who am I?
Right.
Who I'm not having a party at,
you were always having parties.
I had a party.
The Instagram was
for every occasion. For every game, every football game, every birthday, every anniversary, weddings. I opened up that house because it was like, let's get fucked up.
A good reason to start drinking at noon
100%.
is to when you have to start cooking.
Yeah.
So a lot of us become like great at like making sauces and things because you have to start those early. And then who am I once I think that's like just kind of the nature of adulthood, isn't it? It's just like who am I now? Like, who am I now? And who am I now? And who am I now?
Yeah.
And maybe for women didn't used to get to have midlife crises.
Didn't get to have.
Yeah. It was all, that was the purview of men.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it turns out that we have
like
a million of them. Yes. Yes. Because like at 30 and then like you start perimenopause and then the kids start leaving. And then
that part of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard out here for the girls.
It is hard out here, but there is, of course, again, we're all super lucky because we have professions that we or love and are lucky to do. And but even with all that, I didn't realize how much my identity was being mom.
Right.
And still is,
but in a different way.
Yeah, it's just different.
They like come home, and then like Henry, my son, is home right now, and it's like straddling the line between having like a grown ass male adult in my house, but he's still my son.
Yeah.
And he's still like, it is weird. And like, we're not so much Zoe May and I, but Henry and I are having a harder time navigating that, like this, crossing the bridge from childhood to adulthood.
Yeah.
And like the expectations of like, you're coming home like a couple of times a year to stay in my house for a week.
Are you still performing, touring, doing, what are you doing professionally?
Yeah. So professionally, interestingly, I started working in animation in 2010, when I blew up my life in the first season of my dream job, working on Doc McStuffins. That was the first season.
That was when you were
the first season of Doc McStuffins.
I didn't realize that you were Doc McStuffing when you hit your bottom.
And there are songs from that first season that I honestly do not remember writing.
But they were good.
By the way, this is all like, I mean, maybe to some executives at Disney, this would be a surprise, but
they're not listening.
But they're not listening, right?
We've only got like 7 listeners right now.
I blew up my life halfway through season 1 of Doc McStuffins. So I've been in animation. I've been in animation ever since.
Yeah.
Somehow we got to, probably because it was like my writing partners and one of whom was my ex-husband. It was a mess. I mean, season 1 of Doc McStuffins could get its own behind the music. It was so insane.
Oh my God.
Insane.
So watch that.
Yes, you totally can, Lily.
Lily just held up a card asking.
Yeah, I think we just actually came up with like a really amazing.
behind the music, Josie and the Pussycats.
Or like
behind the music,
Josie and the Pussycats. I was very in moderation time for Josie and the Pussycats.
And you composed the music.
No, that was my first job that I was ever hired for as a singer.
Oh wow.
I did end up writing 2 songs on Josie and the Pussycats, but I was hired to be the voice of Rachel Lee Cook in the movie Josie and the Pussycats. So when you see Rachel singing, that's my voice coming out of her mouth. And so, but Zoe May was, we lived in Boston then, and she was 11 months old, and she was like weaning from the breast. Okay.
So you were not wilding.
No, I was not wilding out. I mean, again, still had to drink every day.
Yeah.
But like not.
Yeah.
But very much, not.
Then there was 10 Things I Hate About You, but that was way before, right?
Yes. That was when I had my cocaine body.
Missed the cocaine.
But I was young, so it wasn't like the horrible, because you know how when you get older,
it starts to get like
and
sagging.
Women who are
you had a young cocaine body.
A young cocaine body.
Young, fresh cocaine body.
Yes,
it's the only way to roll.
It really is.
It's young.
So I look at myself in that prom scene in 10 Things I Hate About You, like walking to Heath and Julia, and that scene was so sweet. Yeah. But I'm like looking at that little teeny dress that I was wearing, that little 28-year-old body.
Yeah.
Cocaine body.
25, 25-inch waist.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like a child's dress I was wearing. So anyway, to answer your question, yes, I am still performing with Letters to Cleo. We were able to get back together because Michael, my ex-husband, was in Letters to Cleo. So obviously after we, there was no chance of us.
You were Fleetwood Macing it.
Weirdly, we learned how to co-parent and like figure out our money stuff and all of that. The last thing that we were able to do was learn how to write songs together again, because it took years, because songwriting involves like this level of, well, I mean, just as a writer, when you're like there's this trust fall that happens when you're putting all of your vulnerabilities and all of your fears and your innermost thoughts, and to do that with someone after there's been such a disruption in that trust and so much pain in the rear view and betrayal, just all the stuff that happens in a divorce. We hadn't written together. And so we started writing together. That was the last thing to happen. And then the band recorded some music in 2015, and we decided to we recorded the stuff, we should just put out an EP. And so we did, and we were like, well, we should tour. And so we toured in November of 2015. And it was weird because we broke up before 10 Things I Hate About You and Josie came out. Yeah. So there were all these people who became fans of the band after the band broke up. And who just assumed that they'd never see us. So when we went out, all of a sudden there's all these new fans that know all the words and are psyched. And we were like, whoa, this is, people were amped up to see old Letters to Cleo, old 40
middle-aged Letters to Cleo.
People were psyched. And so we were when we were done with that tour in November of 2015, we were like, we should do that again next year. And so we've been going out every November.
I know.
Oh, that's fun.
I know. Because I gotten to see you a couple times, and it's just it's amazing because you see that transformation. You may not have the cocaine body, but it's you are suddenly 20, the energy is so incredible. And then, and just to see someone from every day. Yeah. Then go up and be oh my God,
she's a rock star.
Superstar power and the it factor and all of that stuff. And I was just what? Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's very sweet. Thank you for that.
So
lovely
we should go
compliment.
See Letters to Cleo.
Letters to Cleo in November.
Actually, we're going out this summer too.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we're doing dates this summer. So now we're just kind of
you do a festival too?
We're doing some festivals this summer.
So awesome.
That people just really like the 90s again.
Yeah.
So, and we're 90s people. So and we're together. So we get the calls and we can say,
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
It's really fun.
It's really awesome.
So, and since I'm waiting for season 2 of my show, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
That's why you're here.
That's the point.
You're guest.
Right.
So that's what happens.
Oh, right. It's not my podcast. It's
your
podcast. I'm a guest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
understand.
I mean, there have been instances when I've talked more than the guest, and I've got to stop.
Yeah. we love your story. We want to hear more. So so you're waiting on the second season of an animated show that you've already
so
already aired.
Kindergarten the Musical is we sold our own. We created and developed and pitched and sold and then developed our own show for Disney Junior called Kindergarten the Musical, which debuted in September, and it's the best show of all time.
Oh my gosh.
And
it is really, really, really good. And it's so
okay, well, it sounds like it will get picked up.
Well, it should.
Yeah.
But
there's no justice.
I haven't waited tables since I was 25.
And this is what it feels like.
And this is what my life has been like ever since.
Yeah.
It's you're firing you can't stop working. It's just
work.
And then you make a ton of money and then nothing. And then at least now I've learned how to enjoy the downtime.
Right. Yeah.
And I take lots of naps and I work out a lot. I spin and
you do.
Go to Pure Bar and and work out my bod.
Where do you spin?
I spin at Sweat Cycle.
Yeah, I've been there. The problem with Sweat Cycle, it's a hot spin run.
Yeah. I'm addicted.
So spin is hard I love spinning.
Yeah.
Spinning's my exercise
You gotta
too.
come with me more.
I would love to. I've been there.
Yeah.
But
I'm like monkey in the middle here.
spin is hard
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
Then you turn up the heat to 90 degrees.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
It shouldn't be allowed. It should be illegal.
Absolutely diabolical.
But I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
And it's a little bit far from me, but I love to spin. That's my favorite. I just have
You've
to do it
got
more.
To come
You have to do it more.
You've got to
All
come
right,
You
with
go
done.
sometimes like straight from meetings. So
This was meant to happen.
Right. And then
Yeah.
on Sundays, I go to my quote about my Sunday class with Latasha.
Yeah.
This is my tagline for her class. If you are a sober atheist who wants to feel like you just got high at church, go to Latasha's class.
okay.
Well, that sells it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I'm going.
I've spun, I don't know, 3 times. And every time I thought I was going to die.
Yeah,
You
get used to it.
do. Yeah. Every time
You get used to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like then you kind of look forward to that dying feeling.
because then you're reborn
Yeah.
afterwards.
I mean, you
Yeah.
joke, but
It's a good feeling.
Well, and we're
it
touching on
feels like drugs.
something important, I think, in recovery is that for a lot of us, exercise is huge, right? Like I had, some health issues and I couldn't do my regular exercise routine. And it's, obviously you get endorphins and you get all these good chemical feelings, but also it's just, if you don't, I mean, it's another way of managing stress and anxiety, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I just find it.
Is this building haunted? I'm hearing really crazy noises.
Do you find yourself exercising more now, or sort of the same?
Way more. Because I was always hungover.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
I wasn't going to exercise when I was
Yeah.
hungover. No, my dogs really made out like bandits with this sobriety thing.
Oh, because
Changed their life.
Yeah.
Changed their lives. There's not a day goes by
They're
where
like
I don't-
Iditarod runners now.
oh my God. They get a walk every day. So I walk the dogs.
Yeah.
But then, yes, I also go to my Pilates, which is also on my street, 4 houses up.
Oh, that's
So there's
nice.
No excuse not
That's
to.
why sweat cycle sounds like a.
Got to get in the car. It's not that bad.
Because Pure Bar, I walk to that.
Yeah.
To
Which
my
is
bar
great.
class,
And I walk to my Pilates. And then I also will get in a spin class at Dragonfly. Shout out Dragonfly.
Right around the time that I met you, or a little bit after I met you, Marty, I was like, I had put on 30 pounds during the pandemic. I had a flood in my house. Did I know you were
Yes.
going to have a
Oh,
flood?
yeah. No,
That's
remember we
right.
were having I was
Yes.
having a sober gal game night.
Oh my God, that's right.
And you were like, I can't come because,
That's right. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
but then you did come because you just needed
I need
some
to get
cake.
away
Yeah.
from-
And
yeah.
some,
I can't imagine being sober during the pandemic. I can't. I mean, I
Oh
don't.
my God,
was
I
not-
can't
I
imagine.
was
I would
not-
be dead. I would be dead if I
Well,
was
I drank all through the pandemic.
Were you just like around the clock? Were you drinking in the morning?
No, because I had to do a radio show.
Yeah.
But luckily, the radio show was
So?
down the street from my house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would show up still drunk
Right.
for the radio show. There's for sure.
What time was your radio? Like 6 a.m.?
9. But
Oh.
we get there early, and it was done from the host's house.
yeah.
And luckily, he lived right down the street from me. But yes, I'd show up still drunk from the night before. But
Right.
yeah, I'd start
you
drinking
guys,
right
that's-
after the show.
That sort of felt like when drinking became, a co-star.
Yeah, 11
Yes.
a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, people who got sober during the pandemic,
I can't even
which
imagine.
amazing.
Yeah. but I can see how that people became alcoholic during the pandemic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because talk about boredom and loneliness and
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
And so I completely lost my shit by 2020, 22? Yeah. 22. Like by this summer 2022, right before I turned 10,
Yeah.
I was like, 10 years of sobriety.
Yes.
I was like, I've lost the plot entirely. Like I felt crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really crazy. And I had put on 30 pounds and I felt weak and and I wasn't exercising. I wasn't moving.
Yeah.
My back was like, I thought I was going to have surgery.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do something
Yeah.
because this is bad.
Yeah.
Like I felt like really like deeply
Unhealthy.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I called my doctor and I went on an antidepressant. I went on a small dose of Prozac, which I had not done since I had postpartum with Henry.
Yeah.
And when I did that for like 6 weeks and it worked,
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll try that. And then I started going to physical therapy for my back.
Yeah.
So that to try and avoid surgery.
Yeah.
And then I started spinning again, which I hadn't done since before the pandemic. And then I called all my sponsees and I was working with you. So it was like we were working together all the time.
Yeah.
But you were the only active sponsee that I had at the time. So I called everyone. I was like, hey, you want to get back to work?
Yeah.
I also did a 30 and 30. I went to 30 meetings in 30 days.
That's always like a reset, a good reset. Yeah.
And I just got to work.
Yeah.
And you know how it is with when you start doing things that are good for your mind, that are good for your body, it tends to have a cascading effect.
Yeah.
And so it took me over a year to lose 10 pounds because, by now I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
And,
and you're doing it the healthy way.
And I'm doing it the healthy way.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I felt so strong and so good.
Yeah.
And then took me another year to lose another 10 pounds. But I ended up losing in 2.5 years, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And I am, like you said, I don't have the cocaine body, but I feel I feel so strong.
Probably stronger than you did, from when you were in your 20s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
From cocaine body days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
It's
as
true.
strong as when I was on, that I was on tour with Miley Cyrus, right? As her backup singer.
I didn't.
Lily knows.
Oh, okay. Lily knows all the things.
I mean, I know that there's a Miley connection because I think Clay.
Well, that's where I met Clay initially. But Stacey Jones, the drummer for Letters to Cleo, he's Miley's musical director. And he needed some backup singers. And not for nothing, I'm a shitty backup singer. It is backup.
Why?
Because background singers, it is such an art form.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have any respect for it. I just thought if you sing harmonies and stuff but no, it's it is a very specific art form, a very highly specialized skill that I did not possess. But, luckily for me, Clay Jeans was doing what's called playback.
Yeah.
So most of the background vocals were canned, they were to playback.
Yeah.
So, but I did all the choreo. I had to do all the choreography and all of that. And so
you were in shape.
So when I was 37, 38.
Yeah.
I was.
You're banging.
I was banging.
Mm-hmm.
You were fit.
I was fit.
You're right fit.
Right fit.
What fit?
In it.
In it.
We're not annoying at all.
No.
In it.
Love Island, that's another addiction.
Oh,
I watched all of them.
Zoe turned me on to one
My
of
kid
those.
did too.
It was a British one.
Yeah. Australia is another level though.
You are such a slut for reality TV.
Yeah.
I remember when you
about
and
it a lot.
you and I went to see that concert. What did we see at the Hollywood Bowl together?
Oh, Janet Jackson.
Oh my God, that's right. We saw Janet Jackson.
Talk about the 90s.
Yeah.
Hello.
Don't even get me started. I was
Blues
so.
Yes.
I use my Blue's Clues, my Blue's Clues voice.
Oh wow, that is.
Well, Megan and I play this game, which is evolved from like episode 1 was like, what do you think you might be having a problem with, to now being like, so what are you watching?
Yeah. Because that is sort of our numb juice.
Right.
Which is the...
It's really gone from like, oh, I've got, everything, and then
we watch a lot of TV.
Watch a lot of TV.
Let's just
I mean,
boil
it
it
is
down.
my profession.
It is your profession.
So you have an excuse.
Yeah.
No, it's all research, baby.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, write it off.
Yeah.
So we were talking about our obsession of the last couple weeks.
Yes.
Which is adolescence on Netflix.
Oh my god.
This is what people's reactions are.
I just started it with Henry last night.
Oh,
And
how many
Clay is
episodes did you watch?
leaving to go. Clay is leaving for Vegas tomorrow,
Oh.
and Henry, I plan. This is how I'm spending spring break with my son.
Yeah.
From college.
Yeah.
Adolescence.
Yeah.
It's only
I'm
4
scared.
episodes. You guys can blow through it tonight. That's the problem.
Oh my god, it's
Phenomenal.
I was just like, when the episode, I've only seen this one episode, and when it was over, I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
can't move. Yeah.
I couldn't move.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I feel like our kind of obsession, addiction, or mine, is that I can't stop recommending it to people. And to the point where my daughter, I'm like, have you seen Adolescence? She's like,
So are
yesterday
you
in the
listening
kitchen
to
we
any
talked about
podcast?
it.
Yeah.
Are you listening to any adolescence podcasts?
No,
No.
but I did get on, I did go immediately. In fact, I had to pause the show because I was like,
Maybe we should start an adolescence podcast.
Ooh. Well, I feel like this podcast is the weirdest combination of like talking about serious like addiction and that kind of stuff, and then it's either Southern Charm or it's
Or something
adolescence,
serious. White
or
Lotus.
like it's kind of a pop culture / my addiction.
My addiction. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Television and
Is
these
our-
shows
yes.
are our addiction
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the adolescence thing, I can't
Oh,
stop talking about it. I
so
can't stop
good.
recommending it to people, to the point where I've recommended it to people over and over again. The same person. They're
Yeah.
like, I know.
I know.
You
We're
told
gonna
You know
watch
when
it.
you get angry that people haven't watched it yet?
Yes.
Or you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what are you, like you, with this difference, like, what are you doing with your life? Like,
Right,
why?
Why are you even?
Yeah.
Not why are you even alive, but
Right.
kind
That's a
of.
little harsh. But yeah,
It's
it's all right.
Kind of.
But yeah, and then, when you get to episode 3.
It's always episode 3. Like, what is starting with
Jamie Lee Curtis and the Bear. What was that? Episode 3?
No, I don't-
No.
or
Well, maybe it
episode,
was
and
of
sometimes it's
season
episode
2, it might have
4.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah.
the Last of Us was that episode 4. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That was episode 4.
No, 3.
Three? Was it episode 3?
Episode
Okay.
3.
The Last of Us was like life-changing television.
I've
And
I'll tell you what
shut
wasn't
your mouth.
life-changing.
It was during some dark
Life.
days. It was during some dark
Oh,
Oh,
was
no.
that
germy
surgery?
days. And then there was this thing of like, oh, it's a fungus, like mushrooms.
Oh.
And I was like, no, thank you. No.
Well,
no.
and I'm jealous of you because you have that in store
I do.
because it's
I
such
feel like
a
I could
beautiful
face
show.
it now.
Oh, it's
It's good
fantastic.
to, and it's one of the shows that like all of the shows that I watch have to be watched with someone else though.
Interesting.
For
Because you need to be
me.
able to talk about them.
No, just because they're intense.
Oh,
Like I wouldn't watch Severance by myself,
oh.
and I don't think.
Well,
No, that's not true. That's not true because Clay is on the road. So I would watch the first time with him, and then he'd be home on Sunday, and then,
And then
I'd
you'd
watch
rewatch.
it. I'd watch it for the second time.
Yeah, I do a lot of that with my kids. I'll be
Yeah.
like, I'll watch it. If it's good, I'll watch it again.
I have a feeling we didn't really go over the. Well,
Megan
what's
and
your
I-
addiction?
That I mean,
For
like
adolescence?
this right now we have
Both
and
of
I
you.
will
Obsessed.
I will listen to podcasts and I will
Yes.
I mean I went through a whole Stephen Graham
Well, also on the Instagram, there's so many articles about adolescence and how it
Yeah,
was shot,
right.
and so many articles. You can do these deep dives on about exactly how it was choreographed and how many takes.
how many takes they have a
It's-
list of how
wow.
many takes and yeah I think episode 1 was they used the second take which is that's just
amazing.
luck
Unbelievable.
that's just
And then one
The
episode they
integrity
did
of those
27.
early takes.
pardon
The integrity of the early takes.
sometimes
like
but then
sometimes,
some they
yeah.
had to shoot
27 times.
I look to see if some of the more difficult shots are sort of up front, so that if they mess that up, they can cut early and then, start again. Because when you think 26 takes, I'm not talking 26 all the way through. But anyway, this is super interesting for people who want to talk about addiction. But I think what we're getting to is when you have a slightly addictive personality, it's not just enough to
watch the show.
No,
Right.
You got to watch,
and then
show.
you got to hear people. Then you got to talk.
Then you gotta talk about
Then you
it.
got to hear.
Then you gotta go
theories
deep.
about the show.
Yeah.
You've got to hear what other people think about the show.
Yeah.
You've got to get mad at people who don't agree with you about the show.
You got to let it dominate your
And then-
podcast. You
Right,
got to
just
let talk about that.
You've got
the
to let
whole
it
time.
dominate. You've got to fall asleep to it.
Correct.
in your brain.
ears.
You have to put it in your brain.
Can I say one thing
Yes.
that I am not addicted to
Okay.
right now,
Yes.
and that I have found recovery around?
Yes.
That I have a history of being addicted to, but have gone
Gummy bears?
cold turkey and have found actual recovery in, which is news.
Oh, like the news.
The news.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Because, I would go to your house and MSNBC would be on always. You
Um,
keep it on while we were talking.
probably
You'd put the
it was
sound
just
down.
white
and it would-
noise.
Yeah. Oh,
To me.
It's depressing. So
And,
you just
so-
you've gone cold turkey.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a minute of cable news
yeah.
since. Here's my rule for my life now.
Yeah.
If the news source requires me to click on it, like if it requires my outrage,
Yes.
to keep me either watching
Ah.
or clicking,
yeah.
it is not for me.
That makes sense.
So I don't.
Yep.
So I read one newspaper in the morning,
Yeah.
like either the Boston Globe, New York Times,
Yeah.
LA Times, and I read it
Yep.
in the morning,
Yep.
and then I don't consume any news again until the following morning.
Yeah.
And somehow I still manage to know what's going on in the world, but I am protecting my peace.
Yes.
And I'm protecting my mental health.
Yep.
And also my ability to be effective, because
Yes.
I don't think it's effective for people. I think how we got into trouble the last time
Yeah.
is by reacting every 5 minutes to every outrage that happened. And let's face it,
Yeah. Well, that's part of I think that's part of the plan is to exhaust you.
yeah, just
You
to
know,
flood
it's
the
just,
zone
there's
with
so much stuff coming at
Right.
you that you get this sort of fatigue, and then you're just like, I don't care.
shit. So I'm saving my energy
Yeah.
for when I can actually be effective. Like when there's an election, I will find out which candidates
Pay attention.
local ones that
Yeah.
I want to work for in my state.
Yeah.
And or pick a few around the country that
Yep.
might be able to use my help. I have been calling Brad Sherman, my congressperson,
You're a congressperson.
Mayor Bass,
Yep.
and
Mayor Bass.
and Adam Schiff to find out what they are doing
Yep.
to combat things
Yep.
that I feel are not good for
Not
our
good.
country.
I had
Not
the
good.
and not good, and not
Yeah.
good for this people in
Yeah.
my community.
Yeah.
I had when the fires happened. I had the news on 24/7. So that was
Yeah.
But
that
I went
was
to local
different.
news.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
watched
I did a lot
I
of
did too.
LA.
KTLA was
Yeah.
the best. KTLA
It was amazing.
I love KTLA. I've been watching KTLA since I was
Sam,
20 years
What's
old.
the
Mhm.
entertainment
R.I.P.
reporter?
Sam Rubin. He passed
Sam
away.
Rubin.
Yeah. I have been watching that since I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
KTLA.
So if there's something
Yeah.
going on
Right.
that requires that I pay a little bit more
you need to
attention,
pay-
I'll
you
turn
actually
on
really
KTLA.
need to pay attention.
But I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
There's
Okay.
a news station that is on 24 hours a day that needs me to tune in
No.
for
And-
as many
and
hours as
stoke your
possible
fear
is
to
not
stay
reporting news
engaged.
that is good for me.
I
Yeah.
hear you. Well,
Yeah.
good for you for kicking
That is
the,
a good.
that
kicking
That is
the
a
habit.
because you were in deep.
There you
Not
go.
anymore.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Well, I guess you talked about kindergarten,
Kindergarten the musical.
and then
Please
you're going on
tune in.
tour. Then you're going on tour.
I'll be on tour, like in the Midwest this summer with Letters to Cleo, and we'll be doing sort of like the march from LA to Boston in November.
Gotcha.
And where can people find your tour dates? Do you have a
On
website?
letterstocleo.net.
Okay, great.
There you go. There you go. Well, and you can find us.
Yes.
All of our socials are My Addiction Pod.
Oh,
yeah. So across all, and if you have questions for any of us, mostly Kay, we can always just ask her and tell you what she said.
Exactly. We know where she lives.
Or she could come back.
At Kay Hanley on Blue Sky.
Oh yeah.
And Instagram.
Yep.
And
I'm
still on Twitter. Even though I don't post very much.
I've been thinking about going on just so I can see what
I don't scroll around or anything.
No.
But there are some people that
stay in your lane.
That are still there and
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this is the final thing. Sometimes I get a little bit addicted to responding to comments on Nextdoor.
Oh shit! We'll save that for another pod.
Yeah, that's another
because
one.
All right.
That is a very good.
I think that's.
I'm addicted to Nextdoor.
By the way, not for nothing, you should call your fucking sponsor about that.
And on that note, I think we can say goodbye.
All right, thanks everybody. See you next time.
Thank you so much. Okay, so oh my God, Kay Hanley,
she's amazing, and I really love to get to know her.
Yeah,
you know, because I just know her as your sponsor, and I see her every once in a while at our secret clubs, and not really, but
wait, I mean, how secret is it when you call her my sponsor?
That's true. You know what I'm talking about. Nudge,
nudge. Really secret. We've been so open about it.
I know we have. I'm joking, but I didn't really know like the breadth of her work. You know,
I know, right? She's super impressive.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's super impressive,
and she's overcome so much. And then what she said about, you know, not being or carrying too much shame anymore from like her most embarrassing moments because she uses that to help other women to pull them out. And I was like, that is so inspiring.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And she is like, you know, and we have, I think the fact that we both are moms, you know, at various times, like during the last however many years she's worked with me, she's really saved my bacon because you know, there's a lot of shame around that. There's a lot of self-incrimination, and you know, but you see like in her family the healing, and you know that can happen for you too. Yeah, as we both have said, one of the most precious things is getting to be a mom that your kids can.
And clear and sober and attentive and present and all those important things that they get to have now.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
It's pretty great. I mean, they liked you when you were party mom too.
They did. They have told me that I was a lot of fun and that they were never really scared.
Yeah.
But, you know, when they were, moms change when they drink. That's just what happens. Whether you change in a way that's funny or more outgoing or a little louder, or you're, you know, a violent drinker mom, which I wasn't, moms still change.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be a little scary for kids.
Yeah.
No matter what they're changing into, it's just not.
Yeah.
You know? So that's something that we.
Yeah. And the other part of it that I think is really important is that we are not as present for their lives. You know, like being a working mom, like having all these, you know, other responsibilities. And then the years that I started, my kids had never seen me drinking. And then, you know, I decided to drink again. And I talked to them about like, I'm making this decision.
Yeah.
You know, here's why, because I've always said, you know, and they were little and they were like, oh. But because I'd always said I didn't drink, it was like, I should probably address that I'm doing it now. You know, there are long lost days and lost moments from those years.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was there, but I wasn't there. Right. So there's also that part where you're like, oh no, I get to experience all this. I'm not like kind of floating away at a certain time of night. Anyway, she's been great. She is a neat lady. She's a neat lady. So I guess we should say our goodbyes. What's our socials? Tell me.
Our socials are My Addiction Pod.
Yeah.
Find us there.
You know, we've had guests like Dr. Al, who is an actual expert. She'll be back. So if you have questions for an expert, if you want to ask about home design, we're both very opinionated. She's an actual professional. You know, if you want to talk about TV, just hit us up on one of those many socials.
We will answer you.
We shall.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to My Addiction. As a reminder, this podcast is meant for entertainment. We are not medical practitioners, and anything on the podcast does not constitute medical advice or treatment. Please consult your own medical professionals at all times. My Addiction is a Tiny Pyro production. It was created and hosted by Marty Noxon and Megan Weaver. It is produced by Marty Noxon, Megan Weaver, Maria Grasso, and Lillian Holman. It is edited by Lillian Holman. Our graphics were designed by Lane Bynum. Our social media is managed by Aziza Abu-Boutain and Ashley Lindsay. Special thanks to Allison Shano, Rebecca Steinberg, Amy Gregonis, and Melissa Tavarit.